Hello and shalom. This is Jay Rivka Sulin, founder and executive director of Ancient Roots Israel. Ancient Roots Israel is the first international urban conference and community in Israel. And we are part of that community. That's what the virtual Plantwalk series is all about. If you've missed some of the virtual Plantwalk series live every day between noon and 1 o'clock p.m. Israel time on Sundays, then you can go to our YouTube channel at Ancient Roots Israel to watch some of the other videos. I'm actually on a walk with some of my girls. We're headed to the park, but I saw this tree and I realized it's kind of in the growing stages where it's a bit easier to identify right now. And I wanted to show it to you really quickly. So we've got this beautiful tree right here. And, for those of us that don't have such great eyes tuned for trees, I'm just starting to tune in with my eyes to how different trees look. But can you see that right here? This should kind of be a dead giveaway. Who knows what that is? Those are pecans. This is a pecan tree, y'all. It's pretty high up for me. I'm zoomed in right now. But I wanted to show you, excuse me, kind of from a distance. I mean, I wish I could get these leaves up close. If you can see, they're toothed, even though they're kind of they're serrated, I should say, on the edges. Now, the wind is also blowing, which is working against us, but I think you can see that. So just to pull out, just so you can see, I'm actually down here on the ground. The tree is up there, but that is a pecan tree. Isn't that gorgeous? Just beautiful. I want to try and give you a shot of the trunk. It's just growing in front of somebody's house. Really lovely. Really, really lovely. I just want to go up and feel that bark. What is this cool little nodule in there? Let's look. There's something cool. Okay. So when the tree, you can see it kind of branches off. I think for this tree, for me, the giveaway is probably going to be the serrated leaves. Okay, so I got a little bit further away. There you can see that tree peeking out. There's a lot of actually really interesting trees and interesting things happening. Pecans, as you know, I'm just going to run this off the top of my head right now. I usually do, actually. Sometimes, if I don't know a plant very well, I'll do a little bit of research for you first, like I showed you on the amaranth video. Come on, ladies. But pecans, obviously, they are nuts. They are nuts you can eat. You can eat them raw. You can eat them roasted. They are high in really healthy fats. Great for people who are avoiding animal fats and want that kind of healthy fats. Nut milks. You can make nut milks out of pecan. You can do it out of any nut. I haven't. So if you have any experience with that, you know the drill. Comment down below. I love the taste of pecans. I toss pecans or walnuts into my pestos because the pine nuts are so expensive. Even though perhaps you've seen the video that I did on pine. The pine nuts were not in season. But typically when we go wildcrafting for pine nuts, it's just kind of a fun treat, and we just the kids just kind of feast on whatever they find on the forest floor. We don't really have enough that we can kind of toss a third a cup into, or more, since I'm cooking for 9 on the daily. We don't usually have a situation where we have such a surplus of pine nuts that we can just throw that into the traditional pesto involving pine nuts. So pecans are great for that, although they do add a certain sweetness. Of course, in the South, in the United States, pecans are really seen as a dessert nut. So you're familiar with pecan pie. Of course, that's a very traditional, super close-up on my forehead. That's a very traditional dessert for somewhat secular holiday, the somewhat secular holiday of Thanksgiving in America, and I believe also in Canada as well. But if you're Canadian, weigh in on that down. There's the girls with the feathers. Medicinal uses of pecan, surprisingly, pecans are used a lot of times in menstrual health and women's health issues. If you haven't heard of seed cycling, there's a theory about that. It's using seeds and sometimes nuts as well, which might interest you. But if I remember correctly, pecans, watch out, there's a bee down there. Did you see that? No, I think the bee's dying though. Pecans are used for strengthening the womb. And I believe there's also a Rambam about this, but I might have to look that one up for you involving pecans. So maybe I'll check that out a little bit later when I get back home. But those are just some things off of the top of my head. As far as using other parts of the tree, I would expect there are medicinal uses, actually, for the leaves and even the bark. But that's something I'm pulling from the recesses of my mind, and I definitely would want to double check on that. So those are my first impressions upon seeing the pecan tree that I wanted to share with you. I hope you got enough time to take a look at it. I'll try and go back on the way home and take a few snapshots of it for the class. But yeah, hopefully I'll be back with a little bit more to say about pecans. So if you see a pecan tree in Israel right about now, that's how it should look. I see. And let's hear about it. Let's hear about where you're seeing it. Where is it growing? Of course, I am based in the Galil for most of my videos. Looking at another tree over here. That's really cool. Here, we'll give you a bonus. This is an oak, and look at these acorns. I mean, they just go all out, don't they? Isn't that incredible? Israeli oaks. In fact, another type of oak, earring, which looks nothing like, we'll take it out and test that, which looks really nothing like the Israeli oak leaves. I think there are a few varieties of oak. So you can see it wasn't recognizable to me immediately. Anyway, fun and games coming up soon. Take care. Okay, so back on the tree video, I was sitting here, just going over in my mind what I have, and I realized that I didn't really talk about the oak very much. It's called turkey oak, that particular oak, and I'll put the Latin name here again. Basically, oaks in general have a really high tannin content, so typically we don't eat them raw because it's really hard on our bodies to process, and it can give us upset stomachs and cause diarrhea and so on and so forth. So typically the tannins are processed out, although with the turkey oak, you can actually eat those seeds raw. You saw those really cool, kind of like all little, they look like that, with the seeds are in there. Was that a good description? Botanists, leave your comments below about how much of an embarrassment I am to the herbal community. But that's exactly how they look. Like, I should interject a picture right here. They look just like that. But they're really cool. They're super, super neat. At any rate, you can eat those seeds raw. And I'm sorry, baby. But don't go overboard. Use that with caution. Typically, the way to get the tannins out of those seeds. Okay, first things first. In this particular tree, those particular seeds, we're not talking about all oaks, just that turkey oak. You can grind up the seeds dry them and grind them up into a powder. And you can use it just like that as a thickener for stews and soups and this kind of thing. And it's actually a food without taking out the tannins. if you take the tannins out of those particular seeds, right, we're just talking about that tree, you're losing a lot of minerals and vitamin and other content that's really important to have. So, Munchkin. Soon, we're talking trees. Anyway, so, but what you could do is you can, so it reminds me a lot of lupine.
And none of these seeds beautiful. They're like beautiful trees.
Alright, well, we'll look at some more on the way home and see beautiful trees. So, to continue, like, really, you all know what it's like to work with children. I mean, you guys have been doing it, and now I get to do it too. Yay! And sometimes it goes like that. Right, but sometimes it goes like that. Sometimes you have kids and you have kids out there, and are they interrupting? Are they participating? Are they learning? Are they picking up with us? I don't know. But there's only one way to find out, as I tell my kids. Anyway, so yes, you can kind of rinse it in water and change the water a bunch of times. Of course, you could boil it too, okay, and do that. But the traditional way of getting those tannins out of the turkey oak seeds, soon, wow, all my kids want to go home. Be outside, run around, play in nature. Was putting it in a running stream and in like a cheesecloth or something like that.
9 people in a family. 8 or 9. I don't know.
Lord have mercy. This is real. You're seeing it real. There's no professional sheen on my videos. Comment below on my embarrassment quotient. The embarrassment factor to the herbal community. Anyway, so they would put them, native people, indigenous people, wherever they were that had turkey oak, would put those seeds into like a cheesecloth type bag, put it into a running stream, just let them sit there for a few days. But the really cool way to do it, that I think is so awesome, is bury the seeds for the winter, and when they start to germinate, you're basically sprouting them, which you could probably do in your kitchen too. I mean, you don't necessarily have to bury them, but the idea that they were buried, like how squirrels back home would do. I don't see squirrels around here in Israel, but back where I grew up, there were squirrels. It just delighted me. It captured my imagination. So, and of course, once they start to germinate, then most of the tannins are gone, and you can just like pop them in your mouth and eat them, and you're good to go. So that's pretty interesting. The other super interesting thing I learned about turkey oak was actually a new word for me. I had never heard of the term gall, G-A-L-L. And look it up. It's kind of crazy, but the galls that grow on the turkey oak actually are super astringent, and so they're used for, again, we've talked about astringency, tightening up those tissues. So you're going to be using it in things like diarrhea and other things that I'm going to skip right now because it's all wild here. And here, you see this? This is my daughter in her nightgown that her sister and grandmother made together, probably, 10 years ago. Loved it so much, wanted to spend the day in it as her fancy dress outfit. So here we are at the park. At any rate, I think you catch my drift. I'm not going to go on and on about all this, but some fun facts about the turkey oak that should keep you busy. If you have experience with the turkey oak, comment below. We should have lots of comments here. I mean, at the very least about, how I've embarrassed the herbal community, and at the best, go ahead and educate me about how you are using these plants, and educate all of us, please. We really want to learn from each other. I just want to add, from right next to the pecan tree is a hibiscus tree, and again, I'm low down, so we're way up, but these leaves, in some ways, really remind me of the redbud tree. I mean, they have a different feel close up, but, you know, from a distance. And they definitely have that, like, mallow family kind of feel to them. They're really smooth and shiny leaves with some interesting veining. But the giveaway for this tree is this guy right there. The hibiscus flower. I think this is called sea hibiscus. But I will put that in the notes here. Let me try and get it. Most hibiscus flowers are edible. I'm not sure about this one. I don't know a lot. There's another one up there. Ooh, hard to get it from this angle. Hang on. Oh, sorry, bee. Here's a close-up of some little beautiful buds there. So it looks like we're just kind of doing a little sampling of a few trees for this view. Isn't that pretty? Jeez. Wow. Absolutely beautiful. Just want to get a good eye on that flower, these papery kind of yellow flowers, and I'm pretty sure the color is very consistent for this type of hibiscus. So more on this later. So I just wanted to make a few comments about the hibiscus because I was in transit. It's not a plant that I use and I have any personal experience with, but it is a medicinal plant. There is some debate about its toxicity or psychoactive or analgesic effects when used as a tincture. But traditionally the flowers, flower buds, leaves, and bark have been used. And because it is in the same family as mallows, it's got that slimy, mucilaginous quality that is typically used for things like lungs and chest infections and this sort of thing, and digestion. So, you know, any of those stomach, intestines, colon, those types of issues. It's been used in childbirth as an external preparation. So I think it was maybe the bark or the leaves, and there was some kind of tea or extract or something, and it was rubbed on the woman's belly. But you can look into that some more to expedite labor and ease pains of childbirth. One thing I found that was really interesting. Oh, and it grows all over. In like tropical and subtropical climates, which is kind of weird, but this actually is the plant. But it grows everywhere. It grows in the Americas, and it grows in Africa, Asia, you know, pretty much everywhere. There's traditional uses. I was reading about it in Bangladesh and whatever, all these interesting places where they, some places, I think the Polynesians also, eat the young leaves. And the buds are chewed up and swallowed for dry throat or sore throat, and the mothers will sometimes pre-chew the buds and feed them to babies as one of baby's first foods before they get teeth. Flowers have been used. It seems like they were more eaten than made as a tea, but again, I don't have any personal experience with this. So if you want to learn more, those are some good points to jump off from. There's like some, I think, PubMed and this sort of thing. Oh no. So that should help you get started in your research. And anything more I want to say about it. Oftentimes hibiscus are either edible or medicinal. Obviously you want to check. That's one of those plants that you want to make sure. Wow, thank you. Here, wait, I'm gonna. Oh, you know what? I'll show that in the next in a video. Hang on. Anyway, I think we've covered what I know about it, which is not a ton, but it should give you a place to get started. hibiscus plants, different hibiscus plants. And by the way, the hibiscus that's usually referred to for drinking, maybe I'll grab the Latin name here. The tea that the nourishing herbal infusion that herbalist Susan Weed uses hibiscus for. It's a different type of hibiscus. They're not interchangeable. So you definitely want to know. You definitely want to know which hibiscus you've got and really confirm the Latin name on it before you ingest this one. And also, here's a great example where this is probably something that should be used raw and shouldn't be made into a tincture for the most part. But again, if you have experience below with this particular hibiscus, please leave that experience in the comments below so we can all learn from you. And I think this is probably going to wrap up my video on these 3 different trees. So I don't know if I closed out my other videos, but it's getting pretty intense behind the scenes here. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can go back and see any of the plant lessons you've missed. Check us out at www.ancientrootsisrael.com. Maybe you don't do the www on this one. Maybe it's just ancientrootsisrael.com. I don't know. Check that out. I'll put the right address in somewhere on here. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you will get notifications when we air our new videos. You can always check me out at wisewomanfertility.blogspot.com if you'd like to hire me privately for anything herbal, women's health and sexuality, kala teaching, and so much more. We look forward to hearing from you and seeing you again next week. Take care.